There's a difference between, for example, a fact and a story behind that fact. There is like an AK-47 on some Mozambique's flag.
Shall I kill everything?
Okay, that's good thinking. In which Asian country would you find a local vodka brand called 8848 vodka? Weave it into something that's an interesting story. A lot of the work we do is with school kids. There's a performance art element to the business. This is not a kind of forum where you'll sledge the other person for not getting an answer. It's at some level there's a performance art element to the business, right?
Yes.
So it's not just the content, right? It is about two performance arts. One is how do you take that piece of content, weave it into something that's an interesting story, and bring that out to you as a question, which will require some amount of a priori knowledge, but also require you to put two and two together to come up with an answer. Other
Can you make
pieces,
it more
of course,
concrete for me, Venki? Like what you explained, it makes sense. But can you please make it a bit concrete?
Okay, so I'm just trying to think of whether I can actually cite an example of sorts to try and tell you and people listening to this what I actually mean. There's a difference between, for example, a fact, right, which is so and so is whatever it is, and a kind of interesting and the reason why that fact exists or the story behind that fact.
I think take an
It would
example,
be
your last quiz, one
yeah,
of your last
yeah,
performances, as you might,
yeah.
pick one example where you showed this reason it exists, because I can kind of visualize it.
So let me ask like a question, right? I mean, this is not a perfect example for the chat GPT or whatever. If I asked you a question saying, in which Asian country would you find a local vodka brand called 8848 vodka? Okay, this is like at the face of it, a very obscure, random question, right?
Yeah.
How would you possibly think you can arrive at an answer to this? Okay, so
I
do
don't know.
you
I
guys
have
want to
no
actually
clue
take a
what.
shot?
I'll try to zero in by saying that vodka is most consumed in Russia, so must be somewhere in Russia. And then
No, but he said Asian country. I don't think Russia is fully Asian or European. Nowadays, they are more Asian because Europe is having a war, but that's a different thing.
and then 88, the number 88 is very common in China. So
Okay, that's good thinking.
So I'll say somewhere in China.
Okay. It's not in China, but you're right on the fact that so the potential way to approach this could be that there's a number which is the name of the vodka. So 8848
I've
is
just
a
Google
number.
searched it. So shall I kill everything? I've just Google searched
yeah.
it.
I mean, you Google searched it, right? So now I will tell you the logic behind getting to that answer without a Google search. It is that the fact that it's in Asia and there's a number 8848. Now 8848 is like a large 4-digit number, and then you start thinking about what it could potentially denote, right?
Right.
And why would an Asian country want to use that number as a whole? You zeroed in on the 88 alone, but you look at the 8848 together. So you could then possibly think that it must be something very important in that country, which has got an 8848 significance, right? Now, once you do that and you have a little bit of a priori knowledge, you'll know that the height of the Mount Everest is 8848 meters. Okay. And so once you get to that, the answer is very straightforward, that the answer is Nepal. Okay. So this is the 2-3 step way of like quickly putting things that you know together to arrive at this.
Ricky. I just learned something new. You just taught me the performance art behind quizzing.
Many of the other questions are similarly kind of involved in a particular manner for you to, the way the question is framed is really the performance art, right? That's one part of the performance art. The other part of the performance art is, of course, going and asking that question, which is to be able to host that, to be able to engage with contestants and participants who have come there to take part in this, to be able to know that when there is a wrong answer that's been provided by someone, to be able to know enough to know why that wrong answer, where's that thinking coming from, and how can that be kind of reoriented a little bit, and so on. And this becomes especially important for us because a lot of the work we do is with school kids. A lot of the quiz shows that we do are school quiz shows, where the idea also is, to take everyone along. And yes, it is a contest, it is a competition, but you want people to learn in the process. You want people to enjoy themselves in the process. This is not a this is not a kind of forum where you'll sledge the other person for not getting an answer, right?
Yeah.
So those two elements of performance art at some level, and therefore the underpinning of approaching content from that angle of, can we peel the onion and look at stories which lie below the surface? Can we bring those to the forefront? Supplement the fact with, why is that the case? I mean, often I take a favorite example saying, we also run like a kind of program in some schools and so on. And one of the very nice topics that we do there is objects on flags and why they are there. So lots of people might know, like random trivia, like, there is like an AK-47 on some Mozambique's flag. But, why
I
is
didn't know till 2 seconds ago. I did not, but yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
this
So,
is one
but
of
you-
those
you
trivia
get what I'm saying,
that
right?
now I'll not forget. I won't forget now. AK-47 on a flag and Mozambique, right? Okay.
Yeah. So, but you get what I'm saying, right? So that's kind of what it is. So the answer, to come back to your question, Vix, is we are constantly looking at ChatGPT to see how we can help it aid our business.